This is a story of Betsy Muller. She's the founder of Create and Connect Brilliantly, and you can hear her life story on Trailblazers Impact Podcast. You can also purchase her book on our shop page on the website. Betsy, among your other areas of expertise, you are a life coach. What are the stories that you're hearing about how people are coping with the pandemic?
Well, it's interesting. I've been doing a daily group intervention for free. And so I'm hearing what's going on. I'm hearing from people that are trying to integrate their work with having a toddler on their lap while they're working. And they're learning about how their response and drama can actually make the toddler worse or better. So that's one thing I've helped somebody with. Another thing is about technology. There's a lot of people that are suddenly having to lead calls and lead business meetings and virtual lunches, and they've never used the technology before, and they're just beside themselves because they've got all this work anyway, and it's all new. And so I really helped somebody yesterday in a group program just calm down from that. And then what's really interesting to me, and this is a side effect of general disruption and stress, is that people are feeling things in their body. You know, they're getting pains in their neck and their back that are very unfamiliar and not their normal pattern. And I will admit, I'm even getting it too, because everything is new for you and for me. We have never been through something like this before. As much as we've handled crises as business owners and as human beings with a certain lifespan, this is uncharted territory. And those things that we feel in the body are often trying to get our attention because there's something deeper in there. And the deeper thing, what I seem to believe, is that we are picking up on stress patterns that developed when we were little children, that our response to trauma or upset, uncertainty, is really established when we're children, and how we coped when we were children. And we might just be falling back into some old patterns, old ways, and our body's just saying, well, do you want to keep relying on that, or is there something you could do that might be better than that? Do you want to change that? So I'm like the detective when I work with people, and I work with a lot of different ages and styles of people, but you know, I'm always curious. A problem will show up in the way it's going to show up. And rather than dismiss it, meet it where it shows up, and then see if you can trace it back to the origin of what started. So it's been very healing for me, actually, to help all these people in the midst of watching this thing unfold. So I've been doing the daily group for 14 days now, and it's free. It's open to the public. People have to behave, though. I have that key to mute them and take them off the call, right? But everybody's behaving so far.
Are you doing this on Zoom?
Yeah, I'm actually doing it on Zoom, so they do have to register to get the Zoom link. But if they connect with me on Facebook personally, I put it out there on my page every day so people can get in there. Yeah.
Now, a lot of what you're talking about for people is change, and you know, change is hard for people.
For some more than others, right? We love that predictability of what we've always had, and we don't, hold on to it with little fingernails. We don't want to let go. Yeah.
So is part of what you're doing helping people cope with change itself?
I think really what I'm doing with everybody is helping them just accept their feelings about it, because we can't change things until we accept what's going on and how we feel. That's always been my way of working with people. But now, in the midst of these big changes, really, it's a great time to just kind of be present to yourself, be a witness to your own process. Step out of there for a minute and say, is it sadness? Is it terror? Am I just frustrated? What is this feeling? I got triggered today at the grocery store because I went first thing in the morning because I'm a senior citizen and I can go the early time. And they were completely out of eggs this week. And that is my favorite go-to healthy food that I always have in the house, as a Weight Watcher, like a lifetime Weight Watcher. And eggs were always okay, And I had to step back from my own experience because I let myself get really worked up about that. And then I thought, well, there's other food, you're going to be fine. You have a few in the fridge. It's just, you always like to have a whole dozen to feel safe, right? I mean, that was really ridiculous, but it's an example of how we get attached to certain things and the way they are. And it applies to all our money. Think about that one right now, right? There's a lot of people nervous about that attachment. I don't dwell there, I guess, but some people are really on the edge of their security. This is all about survival. Those are big attachments, and they need to be honored. We don't just ignore that. We go deeper into helping you feel comfortable. So what I'm doing when I'm working with people is I'm calming their body down while they think about horrible things. Is that possible? Absolutely yes, because when you can calm the body down while you're focusing on something horrible, you're creating the opportunity for your brain to process everything differently going forward. Okay? So you have a pleasant feeling in your body while you're thinking about something not so good, and you suddenly realize, oh, well, I have power to do something else, or I could make this decision, or maybe it's just okay not to do anything right now except feel good in my body. Okay? So that's the gift of the kind of training I've had as an emotional freedom techniques practitioner that I am very grateful for myself and for everybody I work with. We can do that.
That's also, I think, getting used to alternatives. For instance, they have eggs in a box, put eggs that you could pour out. So
Yeah.
it's thinking about maybe this isn't going to work, but maybe this over here would.
Well, I even contemplated becoming a vegan today. And I thought, maybe I could. The whole episode got me thinking in bigger terms than just about my frustration in the grocery store. It got me thinking about, well, that's just so silly. Like, my life doesn't fall apart. Now, toilet paper, everybody's going through that one too. And today the paper napkins were gone, and I'm thinking, holy cow, people are really going crazy about paper products, but not me. I guess I can be fine with, I might sew some napkins now. Right.
Do you find yourself running through the store rather than meandering?
Well, Nan, I only go out once a week because I am really taking this, staying at home thing seriously. I mean, nobody's pulling people over in my state. I'm in Ohio, and we're on lockdown pretty much. But I've made a commitment to myself. I'll go out walking the dog. I'll keep my 6-foot distance, but I'm only going to the grocery store one day a week because that's how I do my part of not being out in the world and not making this any worse. Not that I'm infected, but just stay out of the way. And so, I'm playing by the rules. I'm enjoying this less busy time for what it is. Yeah.
I wondered, because a lot of your work has involved lecturing and travel, have you kind of transitioned over to business on the internet?
I'm doing that right now. I have to be honest with you. Every single revenue stream of mine that I was counting on for the next 4 months has pretty much gone away completely. And because of the organization I train, that I'm accredited to train with, I really have to do live trainings, except they're broadening the rules suddenly. So I have a meeting later this week about being able to do those online trainings. And lo and behold, my continuing ed partner who does the CEs for my trainings immediately gave me continuing ed credits for the same course if I just do it on Zoom. I haven't ever taught it that way, which for me is a little bit like, am I going to be able to deliver the same way I do in a live room, and, to count on the technology. So I'm coming out with a lower price. I'm coming out, everything that I'm changing right now, I'm doing from a place of generosity because I have a talent for this. I want to help people. I think I'm secure enough to weather a few months of going off my business savings, and thank goodness I have that. Yeah, it hurts. I had to do a lot of refunding the other day because I had a big retreat coming up, and we finally made the decision to cancel that. But I'm getting a few refunds for things that I invested in. And, my travel that I've had to cancel, all the money's come back. So I feel like I am being cared for in this bigger world. I really, it doesn't do any good for me to sit here and stew about it being unfair. I think we're all getting kind of the same deal right now, right? We make the best of what's going on.
Well, that's why I wanted to do this podcast show, because, we could all rail about what's going on. I mean, we could all be saying it's that person's fault and that person's fault, which of course I feel, but I thought I'm just not going to make it about that. I'm going to make it about what can we do to help each other?
Yeah.
What can we do to feel positive as we can, because it is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and we might as well, there's something about banding together too. And I love that you're doing this. I think this whole situation is a call to be a we instead of a me, and to trust that we will take care of each other. And I really see that happening all over the place. And where it's not happening, it's getting called out pretty quickly too. Have you noticed that? I mean, we always have that choice to pull away and isolate and be by ourselves, but that's not a place of being in your power in this world. We band together and we're better. We're better because of it. You know that from our National Association of Women Business Owners relationship, which is how we met. We're team players.
Have you had anybody on your calls or your internet connection that has actually contracted the virus?
I have one friend whose son, who was in New York City, came home and had it and was diagnosed. And I believe her husband also came down with it, but was never tested. And I don't know how she's doing, but I haven't heard anything too scary from them. So that's all I know at this point. We have relatives in New York City, my husband's brother's family, and they are in a state of real panic right now. Although we don't know anybody who's come down with it there either. Yeah. How about you?
My daughter has the symptoms,
Mm-hmm.
but she's young enough that, we're just kind of hoping she can work through everything, because she has called her doctor, but I don't think she's going to even be able to get tested, which is too bad.
Yeah.
One of the things I've also wondered about is, do you have people in your group who have elderly parents? Because that's...
Yeah, I do. My parents are 88. They refuse to let us in the door. I mean, because I've been traveling, so I haven't seen my parents in almost a month face to face. My mom has Alzheimer's, barely speaks anymore. My dad cares for her at home, and it's got to be so hard for him. Also, I have a therapy dog, so I had been spending a lot of time in nursing facilities and assisted living, going to visit patients with my dog. So I have all these old people in my life that I'm missing right now because we're not getting to, I just keep wondering, like, how are they? How are they doing? And from what I know, everybody's still pretty healthy in Ohio. It hasn't really ramped up yet. And I give a lot of credit to our governor for, shutting things down earlier instead of later. Thank God they shut things down before St. Patrick's Day, because that would have been, especially in our town, that would have been a big, big tragedy. And, people are taking this seriously. So Yeah, but I do hear, I hear people fretting about jobs, about money, about loved ones, and even I have children that don't live in town with me. Maybe you do too. We've been having Zoom cocktail hours and kind of gatherings of family. We even got my 88-year-old dad came on to a call with us and got on the first time, and his sound in his video worked. We saw the ceiling fan a few times, but other than that, it was pretty good. Yeah, yeah. But oh, how about you? Are you worried about a few people?
I'm like you, it just really hasn't hit the people that I know that well, except for my daughter at this point. Uh, how about leaving us with maybe 2 or 3 things that you could think of that would be positive advice in your area of expertise that you would share with us?
Okay, so I'm going to show everybody something. If you want to try this with me, please go ahead. So if you put your hand on your heart and you touch this point between the ring finger and the little finger right between the knuckle. This is called the gamut point, and this is on the meridian the energy meridian that controls your fight or flight response. It's called the 9 gamut sometimes in our work, but you can rub it or you can tap it. And if you hold this point and take a nice deep breath in, and then a real long exhale out as if you're blowing out a candle. There's so much we can do with our breath just to relax, and especially a long exhale. But by doing the breath with the hand on the heart, which really helps you take kind of this anxious stuff up in your head, move it down. Closing your eyes helps get you out of your head and moving down. So this is what I recommend when people are really just kind of, they're all over the place. They're anxious, they're upset. If somebody's crying when they come into a call with me, it's hard to do any work until those tears and that goes away. So we lead the breath. Another thing to do is take that hand and put it on your forehead with the other hand on the heart and breathe that way. And the electromagnetics of the hand just help calm the front of the brain. So you can see how that feels. And then, of course, my claim to fame is this wacky tapping stuff where we tap on the points on the body. But tapping on these specific points on the body disengages the brain's response to stress and just helps us feel good. And actually, the clinical data says it lowers our cortisol up to 44% in an hour. That's what the data shows. And there isn't anything else that lowers our stress hormone to that effect as much. So, but we have to to do some of those tapping points. And so I always say, you got to use your hand sanitizer or don't touch them, or, wash your hands real quick. So I don't know if we want to demonstrate if your hands are clean or not. But that works really well. But, the breath is just, it's the simplest things, closing the eyes. Oh, sleep. I mean, if you need to sleep, hand on the chest and that breath. And that big exhale, that long exhale, like you're blowing out a candle. Worth it.
So how can they contact you if they would like to participate in your groups?
So the easiest way would be on my website, createandconnectbrilliantly.com. And on Facebook, my personal, I have Create and Connect Brilliantly as a Facebook page. I also have Betsy Muller, Muller, that they can find me there. So any of those, but there's a contact form, and everybody's entitled to a quick consult, no charge. If you just want to talk about what's going on with you, I'll give them time. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Betsy, and thanks for doing what you're doing to make it all better for everybody if we can.
Yeah. Well, I hope they'll check out the book too, because the book really is a day-by-day account of getting through a very unsettled period of life. I know I have one right here too. And, it's not about a pandemic. It's about a loved one in ICU that's pretty much, I've been told, has a brain injury and probably won't ever come back to me. But day by day, one day at a time with a lot of uncertainty, I think the same formula that I use to get through that is the same formula all of us use to get through what we're going through. The uncertainty, unknown, we don't even know when it's ending. And I'm very familiar with that and came out okay. All right. Yeah.
Well, it's a very powerful book. I've got my copy, and I really suggest that you go to our shop page on www.trailblazersimpact.com and buy a copy for yourself.
Yeah, you have extra time for reading. Do it.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Betsy.
Okay, thanks, Nan.